Hello, and today we're going to talk about how to create a domain controller, DNS, and DHCP. So I'm rebuilding my lab environment because my hard drive crashed, and so I now have to reinstall everything from scratch. So I thought I'd make a video about it. I'm going to take you along to the journey on how to build out your lab environment. And now, in order to have any kind of infrastructure application, you need to have a domain controller, a DNS, and a DHCP. Now, in order to have, and obviously Active Directory Services is part of that. So today I'm going to kind of recreate my lab environment, and you can follow along, and so that's what this video is going to be about. So today, let's get started. So I have a domain, I have a Windows 2012 server, and so in order to have a domain controller, you first have to have the Active Directory. In order to have the Active Directory, you have to have a DNS, and then of course you have to have DHCP as well. So you need those four components. But before you start doing anything, the first thing you need to do is have a static IP, and you need to have a change their name. So I'm going to go ahead and work on the static IPs, but first I want to go ahead and change this from the bridge to the NATS network because I want it to be completely separate from my main host. So I'm going to give it that. Once it gets, once it changes here, then I'm going to go ahead and now I'm using Vmware Fusion. So let's see what IP address I have currently. Okay, it's got the other, just one moment. Okay, so on the server, I went ahead and right-clicked on your network here, and it opened up the network and sharing center, and then I opened up the IP4. We're not going to worry about IP6 or 4, so I gave it a static because I know what my IP range is going to be, and this is going to be different for anybody that's watching this video because you have a different router or different stuff. So you just kind of have to know a little bit about networking. Just do this. So I've got my static here. Because the first thing we're going to do is create a Dcp server. So I've got to have a static on this server. So I did that. So I'm going to say yes. Because now I'm creating a different network here. And the first thing I also want to do is I want to come in here and I want to name this computer, because when you install Windows Server 2012 or 16 or any of the Windows based, it creates this generic name, and who wants to remember that awful name here? So I want to create something that's simple, easy to remember. So I'm just going to call it DC01, and then I'm just going to go ahead and restart that. So now if you're using VMware, to do this, make sure you install the VMware tools first before you get started. So I had already done that. So I'll be right back when it's finished restarting. Alright, so now it's back online. It's restarted. So now I'm going ahead and log in. And it'll just take a moment here to load the Server Manager. Now within Server Manager, any features or roles that you install will be listed here, and as you can see, there's just the basic stuff. And also when you install features or roles, you'll see them added here as well. And we haven't done anything yet. So like I said, I've just gave it a static, and I don't have a DNS, and I don't have that yet. So that's why this still has a yellow. So that'll go away once we get that configured. So the first thing I want to do is I want to add the DHCP. So I'm going to go up to Manage, Add Roles and Features, take the default. You want to add roles and features. This server, that's what we're going to install it on. So I'm going to go ahead and add DHCP. That's just what I'm going to do for now. And then I'm going to go next, and I'm just going to do that for now. Next, and then install. This will take a few minutes to install, and I'll be right back. Alright, so now the installation of DHCP has been completed. So now what you need to do is complete the Dcp configuration. So we're going to go ahead and do that. It also tells you that up here. You can even close this and do it up here if you want to. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on complete Dcp configuration. So I'm going to go ahead and hit commit. Done. Close. And then we have, there we go. So now we're going to go into tools, and now you can see DHCP is now listed there. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. We see DC01. We have all four. Now we haven't done anything yet. We haven't added any scopes or anything like that. So now we need to do that. So now we have the basic role installed. So now we need to add scope. So you click on the IP4 and you right click and you go new scope. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Go next. I'm going to give it a name. I'm just going to call it Home Lab. Home Lab. And I don't really need to give it a description, so I'm just going to call it Home Lab. And then the starting IP address is going to be whatever the, this may be different for your environment, so I'm going to do 100 to 200. Let's just keep it simple. And that's fine. Actually, I want to do, that's fine. And we can, so if you want any exclusions, you can add that here. Like if you have your printers or your other servers, they need to be static, you can exclude. Or maybe you have some printers in this scope, like 100 to 200, and you have some printers in there and you want to exclude that range, you can do that. This is just a lab environment, so I'm just going to skip the exclusion, so I'm going to go next. Now, in the lease duration, so when DHCP gives out IP lease, it can go from 8 days all the way up to 30 days. Now, depending on how, in my lab environment, I'm changing this to 30 days, but if you had a, office that had many people coming and going and getting IP addresses, you probably want to do that every 8 hours or something, so that, you still have IP addresses available for other users. But if you had people coming and going a lot and you set it for 30 days, all of a sudden, pretty soon you'll be running out of IPs before you know it. So, so depending on your situation in your network, I would, give it whatever days you think is necessary. For my lab environment, it's going to be 30 days because I only have like 10 VMs that I'm going to be, that's going to be connected to this domain controller. So I'll just do 30. And yes, I want to go ahead and configure those options now. You can do that later if you want, but I just rather just get it out of the way. So this is going to be the gateway. So this gateway will be different for you. So I always like to put 2 because that's the gateway. 1 would be your internal devices, and 2 would be your ISP. So I'm putting 2 because I want somebody's VMs to have internet access. So I'm putting 2 in there. So again, the parent domain. So I don't have the DNS server yet, but I'm going to be creating that. So give me a second. Actually, I can add this in later, so I can, so we can skip that for now. So I can put in so let me just do, my server name is DC01. We're going to resolve. We can't resolve it. We did, so we're going to add that in there. Of course, it's going to bring up, yep. So we're going to add it anyway. So again, we're going to be adding the DNS, so we're going to call it, because I already know what I'm going to be calling this. So that's fine. That's going to be my parent domain, so that's fine. I'm not going to use any Win servers, but let's just go ahead and just add something in here anyway. So we're just going to go ahead and add that. And then yes, we want to activate the scope. Finish. And there's my scope. And you'll see. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and add the DNS servers. So welcome back. So now we're going to go up to, as you can see, we've added DHCPs. You see it here on the left side. So now we're going to go ahead and add the DNS. So we're going to click on Add Roles and Features. Next, we're going to add roles and features. You're going to be on this server. And we're going to go ahead and click on DNS. And then we're going to go next, next, and next. And then we're going to go ahead and click on install. So I'll be right back when it finishes. So now it's finished. And now you want to do is click on close. And as you can see, the DNS is now on this side. And as you can see, you have all of these things done. So now we're going to go over to tools. You go to DNS. Here's the DC01. And here's all the DNS stuff here. You have your forward zone, you have your reverse lookup zones. So now what we want to do is we want to configure a DNS server. So we're going to configure this. We're going to go create the top one. we're going to go to server maintains the zone, so that's what we're going to do. And we're going to give it a zone name, which I already told it what we're going to call it. Create. Yep, that's what we're going to do. Let it create the file server. And I wanted to do the, that's okay. Well, both, we're going to do this for now, even though it's just a lab environment, but I don't want to do not dynamically update, because then it's just, you know, when you add computers to domain or whatever, I want to, yeah, so select this option. So I'm going to go next, and then you're going to put in the server name. That's if you want to. That's if you want to forward any queries, but we're not going to do it. I mean, if you had another domain controller or some other stuff, or that other DNS server, you probably want to do that, or another network or something like that. This is just a lab environment, so we don't really need to do that. So but we'll just put the, I'm just going to put the O1 server in here. And just give me one moment. So I did the search. When I went back, I found the servers. And do next, and it does that, and then click on finish. That's fine. Hold on one moment. All right, so it created the forward lookup, which you want to have. So we're going to, again, we don't have the fully domain yet, so we'll edit this later, and then we can create a new lookup zone here. Primary zone, primary 4. We're going to give it this network ID. Because that's my range that I'm going to be using, and that's that. And then we want to use allow, finish, and there's my reverse lookup, and there's my forward lookup. And that's basically it. When we add the Active Directory, it'll see that I created a DNS, so we should be good there. And that's basically it for DNS. So now in this video, we're going to add an Active Directory, and we're going to promote it to a domain controller. Now that we have, you know, DHCP and DNS, we're going to go ahead and add the active. Now you could have added all of these at the same time. That's fine. You would get warnings when adding the Active Directory. So I wanted to kind of do it this way. So this server. So now we're going to add the Active Directory services right here. And next, and we're going to just go next and next, and then just click on install. I'll be right back when it finishes. It'll just take a few minutes. Okay, here we go. It just finished. It took a couple minutes. Click on close. And as you can see, you have promote this to domain controller, which we're going to go ahead and do. So we're going to click on this. Now, because this is the first, we're not adding it to an existing domain. We're not adding a new domain to an existing forest. So we're going to create a brand new forest here. So you want to give it a forest name. So I'm just going to call it this, because that's going to, you can call it whatever you want, because it's going to be separate. It's not going to be in an enterprise environment. It's going to be in my lab, so I can call it whatever. I can call it Microsoft.com if I want to, because it's not going to be connected to the outside world. So just make sure you give it whatever name. Go next. I'm going to call it that, and it'll take a few minutes. Now, now depending on what you have in your organization, you have these different domain level, forest functional level and domain functional level. So if you have 2,000 servers or 2003 or 2008, you may have to scale down a little bit to accommodate those. But this is going to be my lab environment, so I'm leaving everything 2012 for what I need to do, and then just give it a password. Make sure you don't forget this password, because important. So just write it down somewhere, or just something that you'll remember. It can be whatever you want. You're going to be the administrator of this. So click on next. I thought I clicked on next. There we go. Now you may get this warning, which is fine. We can fix that later. So just click on next, and then we're going to go give it a NetBIOS name. So I'm going to give it a name here in a second. I'll be right back. This will take a few minutes. So there we go. Yeah, that's fine. We can call it that. But I want to give it. What did I put in the beginning? I think I want to do. That's fine. Just make it easier. There we go. I'm going to change it up a little bit. Because I don't want to really, that's fine. I'm just going to, there we go. So this will change to UNI instead of NextSec. I'm just creating something there that'll be easier to log in because my prefix will be UNI / whatever your username is, it'll be easy. So I'm going to use the NetBIOS name with that. Next. And then this is where it stores all of the database, the log files, and this is for folder. Now I see people like put it in different folders or have a different partition for each one of these. You know, for info, I don't really recommend doing that, but again, this is just a lab environment, so I'm putting everything on the C drive. So next, and then there's your review and your options that you've selected, and then you just go ahead and go next. And then now it's going to do a prerequisite check, and then this should kind of validate to make sure that all of your prerequisites are met. So again, there'll be some warnings here, which is fine. You may have to come back and finish these later, but as long as it has completed and all is passed successfully to install, so as long as you see this, as long as you don't see any red here, you're fine to go. If you have any red in here, then you need to fix that first before you continue. But here I have just warnings, which is not a big deal. And I have a green check for all my prereqs. So I'm going to go ahead and click on install. And this will take a little bit of time, maybe about 10, 15 minutes-ish. So I'm going to pause this video and I'll be right back. Now once it's completed, this feature will automatically restart your server. So that's what it's doing right now. As soon as it finishes, I'll show you what all the things that you need to do to finish the install. So I'll be right back. Alright, so now we're back. The machine is finished restarting. So we're going to go ahead and see how it's already prefixed the domain. So I'm going to go ahead and log in to the domain. So everything's working. And we're going to test that by going to a website like Microsoft.com or something, make sure that we can get out there. Now just say that for a second, but it'll revert back. So I'm waiting for things to come up here. It'll take a second. I'm going to pause this while it comes back up. Okay, now it's back up, and as you can see, on the left side you have all of the new features that I've installed. You can see everything that's running, everything's green, everything looks good. So now I'm going to go into my DNS, because I still have like a little yellow, which means I can't get out to the internet just yet, but it's because I need to add the DNS server now that I've created it. Go ahead and add. Now you technically don't have to do that on domain controller, but I'm just going to add it anyway. See, it just says that. So I'm going to go ahead and add my and advance. We'll go ahead and pin. And then we're going to register this. And we have wins, which we didn't really add, but I'm just going to go ahead and add this anyway. We don't need wins. I hate wins, but anyway, we'll do that later. Alright, so we got that set up. So we got that going. And then we have your forward-looking zones, and see there's the DCL1. And then here's your host, which is great. And that's basically it. And then you have your reverse lookup. Got that. And we're going to, and there's all your stuff, domain zones, and all this good stuff is all ready to go. And you're all set. And that's basically it. So again, thanks for watching. Again, there'll be another series of videos around anything that I want to use this backend environment for, like SCCM or SCOM or Citrix or Exchange or whatever you want to do. But this is the basic way to set up your first domain controller. So we've got our DNS, we've got our Active Directory, and as you can see in the tools here, we got all those things. So again, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions, leave a comment below. And this video will also be posted on my website at mynextsec.com. Thanks for watching and have a good day. Bye.